All right, welcome back to Worldie Unboxed. I'm Brandon here with Aaron. This season, we're exploring the small decisions that shape how kids move, play, and build confidence before sports ever get serious. Today's guest is someone I've known for a long time, and honestly, one of the reasons I was excited about bringing him on was I got a chance to see his story unfold in real time. James Horne is a former MMA fighter, entrepreneur, gym owner, and coach who spent years helping kids and adults build confidence through martial arts. But before all that, just like many of us, he was a kid who made a decision to go into a gym, and looking back, that one decision ended up changing the course of his life. James, thanks for joining us. What was life like before MMA entered the picture?
First, thank you for the kind introduction. Life before MMA, that would have been anything before, I guess, about 21, 22 years old. If you go to the recent or the time just leading up to when I decided to go into the gym, it was a different me for sure. Was just in a place of unhappiness. I was overweight, like 240 very soft pounds, and just not in a happy place, to say the least. Grew up, knowing different and knowing that I should be different, but didn't really have a lot of guidance in those moments leading up to when I decided to start MMA. And from there, the rest is kind of history, as they say. I decided that I hated where I was more than what it was going to take to get somewhere else. So decided to do things different.
Yeah, let's talk about the rest is history part and unpack that a little bit. So we'll stick with before you were an MMA fighter, before you stepped into the gym. What was young James like in terms of confidence? I mean, I have a take on it, having been able to kind of see you grow up, and likewise. But I'd love to hear it from your own mouth. Like, what was young James like? How was confidence? How did you interact with peers, etc.?
It's very interesting just looking back from my adult eye. I can see glimpses of, what I try to make myself become or what I'm trying to become now, because I think the task is never done. But just looking back in my adult eye, I definitely see moments of like, that was there all along, looking back as far as the ability to be okay with failing one and going after different things, not afraid to try things and fail. My dad he was a contractor and just trying all kinds of machinery, driving those things like I owned the place. And just, even though it was in my kid's mind, I still, that ability to like get past my lack of confidence has been there, just in a different version. I just had to unlock it a little bit in present day.
That makes sense. And what were some of the things that kind of helped unlock it? Was it maybe this was before even the gym, but what were some of the experiences that helped unlock that confidence that was buried deep inside of you?
Yeah. So I truly think a lot of things, and I guess maybe I realize these things more so now because I am a parent and, of two sons, but certain things that my dad did that, he passed when I was 11, but at certain ages, it was certain things that he had me do that I didn't realize he was building something. My earliest memory that I have, not just with him or anything, is it's without getting into all, it's a big tractor. It's in Pearl, actually. You can see it from the interstate. Like he's cutting down a tree with a chainsaw. There's a piece of machinery, it's, front end loader, if you know what that is. And he's having me on the ledge. There's a creek behind us. And he wants the tree to go the other way as he cuts it down. I was 4-ish at that time. He puts me in the tractor. It's like, it's my job to keep the tree as he cuts, push it down. And like his ability to put trust in a 4-year-old is real deal. He has a chainsaw. He's pushing a tree down. And there was many moments where he put me in situations that wasn't necessarily, probably looked at so kindly by others, but those were moments that kind of shaped where I am to build something in me to realize, okay, you can do something or you can do more than what you think you're capable of. Just a matter of starting. And so that was a moment. I just always remember, like, I've been all across the country with him. He was a truck driver and and just letting me do certain things on the rig that he just let me figure out. And so moments like that, I think, was the building blocks, if you will, of the present day me. They kind of went away, so to speak, and I had to refine them and re-access those things. But my upbringing and just the way my dad was really played a huge role in kind of the man that I'm hoping to become one day.
That's a crazy experience. And then having that, obviously, it had a huge impact in your life, being able to remember as a 4-year-old kind of doing that. I have very little memory of 2 years ago, as opposed to even thinking about like as a 4-year-old. But maybe that's a product of my age. Definitely would not be trusting my 5-year-old or 7-year-old to do anything like what you were doing. I guess that was a different day, a different age, but that's really cool. And the fact that it has something to do with where you're at today in terms of growth. I think that's pretty awesome. And the independence, I think that's the big thing. Maybe that's the takeaway there, giving you an opportunity, a responsibility, and that allowed you to grow. And you can kind of use that and leverage that later on in life. What do you think you needed at that point in life, like prior to maybe getting involved in sports or prior to really hitting that maturation stage?
So if you talk about post my father passing when I was 11,
Mm-hmm.
there was a period in there where didn't necessarily have the guidance that a young man needed in early teens and things like that. And again, a lot of these views are from my adult eye. I didn't realize these things in those moments. I now realize, and Mr. Ray and men like that, where I didn't have a father, blood father, but there were certain men in my life that guided me. And again, these are things that I didn't realize in the moments, but there were certain people that put a covering, if you will, over me and asked me questions. And I remember I was probably, I don't know, I guess 13, 14 years old. And I remember just on Sterling Oak Drive, like, I remember some of the guys, they're doing their Sunday drinking, if you will. And I remember them telling me to run because I don't know, I said something like, I can't run or something, or I can't, whatever. I don't even remember. But they're like, no, go run. Like, okay. And so, I ran or whatever. Ain't nothing wrong with you, boy. Like, get out there and just go run. And so moments like that. And I remember another moment when I was on a horse, like a horse camp out.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a kid that was basically like Debo in my life in that moment. And he's a little bit older. He definitely could have whooped me at any point. It's not like I was going to dominate him if I just set my mind to it. And I remember him kind of Deboing my snacks and stuff that I brought on the camping trip for me. And we were riding in the RV, and a guy named Kenny Walker just told me, just as simple as you can say it, if you keep letting that happen, it's going to keep happening. And looking back on that, that's all he said. He didn't make a big deal about it. He didn't preach to me about it, but he just was like, hey, if you want that to end, you're going to have to do something about it. And on that same camping trip, I thankfully didn't have to fight because I was going to get beat up for sure, but just stood my ground like, hey, man, I'm not doing that. And so moments like that, to go back to your question, moments like that, having the right people put in my life, whether on purpose or not, has guided me along the way to where I am now. And can't be over thankful for having those men in my life to be able to guide me and lead me to hopefully something better.
Yeah, 100%. It's always a blessing to have that type of interaction, to have that type of guidance, especially with the loss of your dad and having that void, not necessarily all the way filled, but just being able to have a group of individuals step up. I know you mentioned Ray, that's a mutual friend's dad. So like those men being able to help out and really spur you. I know you mentioned that situation, standing up to the Debo in your life. And for those who may not be familiar with the Friday series, that's the guy who goes around and takes things from Craig and Day Day. But digressing back to the point, you ended up walking through the doors of that gym that day. Was it because of those things? Was it because of the experience with the Debo types, or was it a confidence thing? What led you to go into the gym that day?
Yeah. So the first day that I went to the gym, it was like I said earlier, I was in a not great relationship. I was overweight, and this is kind of a battle cry picture, so to speak, that I put up all on my socials and stuff like that. But there was legitimately just one random day I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. So I got out my Sony camera, took a picture of my overweight self, and was like, not again. And it just went from there. Like I remember buying a sauna suit. It was like the middle of June. I'm going to run 2 miles. I had never ran before. Like actual, I won't even call that distance at this point in my life. But I remember like, so I'm just going to run 2 miles and like figure the rest out. And I took a picture, decided, and one of our other mutual friends was supposed to come with me, and we were supposed to do this MMA thing together, but it turns out it was just me. And man, years later, it's been 18, 19 years now of mixed martial arts, and it's a lifestyle for me. And obviously, I have the gym now and things like that. So it
Yeah.
was legit. Just wanted better. And that in the moment, I didn't know what that meant necessarily, but I knew that I needed to do something. So you got to start.
Yeah, right on. Did it feel big at the time? Did that decision feel like, okay, this is an impactful decision at the time, or was it just like,
Nah,
okay,
man, I don't think that decision even felt big until I had my first fight at 170. And I go from 240, like again, I can't emphasize enough, soft 240, um, to fighting at 170. I didn't have that thought there was a big decision at all until maybe at that point. At this point, and a jaw broke later. That's probably a year and a half or so later before I even like, maybe that was a big decision in my life. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Let's see. Like owning a gym and all those things I just didn't want to be fat. Like that was it was as simple as that to me in the moment.
yeah,
How did you land on MMA? Because, if you want to turn your life around or if you think you're overweight, there's a lot of options. And for me, I don't know if the first thing that I would think of is combat sports, but maybe that's just a personality thing. But how did you decide that MMA was the way that you were going to kind of change things in your life?
Yeah, good question. So the truth about it is that we were watching bootleg satellite UFC fights, like old school, one bare knuckle, one glove on, not what the present day UFC is, but we were watching that and it was like, I can do that. Like, or I want, well, not I can, but I want to do that. And, so my brother was actually at the same gym. He was there, and I'm a big believer in once you speak it into the world, it finds a way for it to happen. And so I put it into the world like that. I want to try this MMA thing. Like it was legit. Like again, not mainstream like it is. You weren't seeing it on ESPN. It was like bootleg cable or bust. And, so my brother just happened to be at the gym that I went to, which we never trained together, which was also interesting. Even though he was there, I started because he was there. And then our mutual friend was supposed to come join with me. That's just kind of how it happened. For no other reason. It was just the thought that was on my mind. Cause I mean, other than football at that time, like the triathlons and, all those things didn't exist to me. Like only thing I really knew from an athletic standpoint was football. And, that wasn't an option. I couldn't even, I actually, we did flag football, I think, kind of along
yeah.
those same time period, but
Yeah, we had a pretty good team. I hate that you forgot about that.
yeah, we did. So man, it was just by chance, I guess, to answer your question. I will say I didn't know what I was getting into at the time. I mean, what we think things are and what they actually turn out to be are oftentimes different things. That's in anything. If we're building a company, what we think is going to be like, and like that turns out different. So I didn't necessarily know what I was getting into, but that was just the thing that sparked my interest. Didn't like running 2 miles in a sauna suit in June. So there was that. It was getting to be a better way.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it
that
definitely makes sense.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So looking back now that you can use the, what do they call it? Monday morning quarterback perspective. Like you can look back and see how it has made an impact on your life. How much did that one decision going into the gym kind of change your life?
Oh man. That decision has led me to so many other things. I think it's infinite to all the things that has led me to now because I mean, my wife, I technically met her through the job that I got because long story short, I was finishing nursing school. I was doing MMA at the time, had a couple fights. And the nurse that worked the fights that knew me, I try to always be pretty chill. And I was always just super calm, doing not blood work, but heart rate and all the pre-checks before fights. And she remembered me from the fights. And so her husband, we were friends on Facebook. So they reached out through mutual friends and like, hey, we're looking for a nurse. Would you be interested? So fast forward, I ended up getting the job as a nurse for 8 years through MMA. And then I met my wife at the place that I was working as a nurse. And so we have our boys, like all these things that you can't even put into, owning a gym and all those things led from just deciding to not be fat anymore. And then it led to meeting my wife, who's a health nut, doing triathlons and all those things. None of that happens if I don't ever walk into I won't say it never happens, but it's definitely a different route. So that decision just to not be fat and walk into an MMA gym led to college or led to being a nurse and meeting my wife, having 2 boys and all the other infinite things that I can't account for. So
yeah, that's the epitome of a small decision snowballing and becoming something huge that has an impact that goes well beyond just that one small decision.
It's a good thing that Ozempic didn't exist back then.
Yeah, you may not be a fighter. You may have Ozempic face right now.
Never mind. I'm not going to bash anything on here. I don't want y'all to get sued.
No. I don't think Ozempic even registers and knows that we're on the radar. So I think we're safe from any kind of a lawsuit from them. Kind of switching gears and talking about confidence now. What do you think people get wrong when they think about confidence? And like, especially let's frame it as like parents. What do you think parents get wrong when they think about confidence and how to instill confidence in their kids?
And again, I'm just a parent learning every day.
Yeah. This is a big disclaimer. This is not parental advice.
I'm just a parent who messes up every day. So it's just not in stone, but I think that the mistake that most modern parents make is they don't allow their kids to fail enough. I think that we as a culture, obviously I want better for my sons. I know you want better for your girls than what we had or what you had. But I think there's just something in us to not let our kids fail enough. And I think that's the biggest mistake. If we can, sometimes I look at my sons and I just look at them and say, okay, is this going to be a yard visit or is this going to be kind of a shake it off kind of thing? Because otherwise, if it's just a shake it off, cry for a minute and be okay, I'm probably just going to let them work through that. I'm not going to save them from every mistake and every like actual fall and, life follows, if you will. I think the word, I guess now that's popular now is helicopter parenting. Like that is just not the way that it should be, in my opinion. I think kids should fail often. We should fail often because through that failure comes a lot of learning. That's how you learn. Like it's just, again, I don't think you can put it in a like number or exact percent or whatever, but the moments that we fail is the moments that we learn from it. Like I fail every day with something with Apollo. I legitimately remember the one time I raised my voice, to his mom. I was talking loud. Like I wasn't like, I don't cuss or anything like that. But like I remember like raising my voice and like it broke my heart that I allowed him to see that. And so I say that to say I fail every day, but we have to consistently try to be a better version. And like that, I say that failure, that moment, you know what I don't do anymore? Like that, like I don't do that because in that moment I failed. I felt like I let him down. I felt like I let my family down. But that unfortunately, that had to happen for me to feel that way, to learn from that. And like now, I try to handle moments like that a little bit different. And I do the same thing with them. Whenever he's trying to figure something out, I don't give him the answer. I ask him questions. I let him form his own thought process and things like that. if you ask me, Dad, why are there clouds in the sky? Son, why do you think there's clouds in the sky? What do you think that can mean? And he goes down this in his 4-year-old way, like, go down this, well, gray clouds, that means rain. And so all those things are just little bitty moments of allowing him to like figure it out. Matter of fact, we have a saying, like, anytime, like, because I don't believe in the word can't. Like, I was like, I asked him, what do horns do? And he's like, we figure things out. And that's the standard we hold. And so, to answer your question, that's the biggest thing that I think parents get wrong, is not allowing their kids to, and themselves for that matter, to fail more. If that makes sense.
No, that does make sense. And it's tough.
I got a follow-up question for both of you guys as parents, because James, you said that, parents need to let kids fail more. In a sports or athletic context, what does that look like for you guys? Like, how do you let your kids fail in those contexts?
Yeah, that was definitely, I think I was going to go down a similar path. Like, it's very easy, not very easy, but it's easier to allow failure to happen in the home. Like, okay, yeah, you're not going to climb up on that chair. I'm going to watch you. Okay, yeah, you fell. But no, it's different when they're competing on, it's a small stage, but it's still a stage. It's in the public eye. They're playing a game, and it's very hard, especially when you have a background as an athlete, to not live vicariously through your kids while they're playing the sport and wanting them to contribute to the success of their team. And you see them doing something and you want them to succeed. You don't necessarily, want or even think about like allowing failure to enter the picture. Obviously, it's extremely beneficial. It's very helpful. It ingrains a lot of lessons that they can kind of carry on beyond just the success. So it's very difficult to promote or allow, or to, I don't want to say tolerate, but I can't think of a better word, failure in the sports arena, because there's a part of you that is just super invested in this.
Man, for sure. And just kind of piggybacking off that, like, Apollo's doing martial arts now, which warms my heart in general, just because he's out there and I get to coach him but to see my son get handled by another kid and I'm the coach, that's a hard position to like not coach only my son. I have to be diplomatic. I'm at a gym up with paying parents and things like that. It's a very unique situation to like he has to have that experience, and like he has to go through that struggle. And I don't want to try not to get over invested in that moment by, Apollo, like, no, Apollo, here's what you need to do. And in the same voice, I have to coach both kids, because they're both, on the mats, and like, and it's very cool to see now, like, because we've had moments where Apollo was like just crying, like bawling tears, like, because another kid beat him, and like, but that's what he needs to, like, I know that's what he needs, because, not to go down the whole martial arts, jujitsu, whatever rant about, but it's a lot of things in martial arts that relates directly to life, as far as like having struggles, thinking through that struggle, because you're going to be in bad spots, but that a bad spot doesn't mean that it's over. That just means you have to think through how to reverse it or how to get out of that spot. And how many times are we in bad situations in life? It doesn't mean it's the end. It just means we got to figure it out. And like, it's really cool to like, and not just my son by any means, but like to see kids in the gym, like come in there and they're very meek and quiet, and it's just like, once they get a little bit of like, oh, I can grapple a little bit, and they get a little bit of confidence about them through all those times that they fail. Like, and obviously I see my son more directly than I see the other kids, but like just seeing him now, like just, he still has struggles, but like just having like a want about it. Like now he knows that, okay, I can maybe hold this kid down. And so like he wants to like practice more, because he's like realizing like, oh, it's not just me failing, like through all these trials, I'm learning. And it's just, obviously he's 4 and he'll have the same, I guess, future memories like me in his adult mind, but it's just kind of cool to just see it manifest directly so close to home.
Yeah. To your maybe to your from your perspective, you don't have to necessarily rely on him to hold the tree up though while you're hacking away at it. So you're in a safer spot. Maybe you're
A different time, man. That's insane that he would allow me to do that. But man, like it's
uh,
just, it's crazy. These are very smaller versions of all that, but
no.
it was needed nonetheless.
No doubt, no doubt. So this is like going to be the last question on confidence, but as you work, as you coach with the kids, your kids, you probably had a chance to look and see their progression and notice like even maybe like personality kind of things change. Where where would you say confidence comes from in that progression journey? Does it come before success, or does it come because of success?
I mean, if I have to pick one, I think confidence comes because of success. Because I may not have the word for it, but I think anything that you have prior to that, it's probably something else, if you will. It's a belief in yourself or all these things. But I don't know if you can have confidence without the trials and failures to eventually have success. I think that's where true confidence comes from is from success, and not just having success one time, but like going through those moments of failure and like rebooting and figuring those things out. I think that's how you build confidence. I don't think you might be arrogant or something else prior, and I say that, but I think it's not the same as confidence. I'm not saying you don't believe in yourself, but I'm saying I don't know if it's confidence until you do have that success that was forged by hard times and trials and failures and repeats and all those things. It's certain things I do now that I have a lot of confidence in, but prior to going through all that, I wouldn't have called it confidence. Maybe it was just a belief, like if another man can do it, I can do it too. But I think true confidence comes from having success at some point.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think you kind of described it in the correct way, because I believe that kids, any adults, whoever, kind of needs those small wins, and that win is maybe kind of getting a part of something right. You may have not won the war or whatever, however the phrasing goes, but you're able to kind of like win these small battles, and that gives you that confidence, because it's kind of like a rung on a rope, like you've gotten to that point. So
Right.
I think that's exactly right. And anything before that is probably either maybe a lot of self-belief or blind confidence, or arrogance or whatever. But I think it comes from those small wins, and those small wins are littered with a bunch of failures. So I think that's probably the correct way to describe it.
The way that I would put it, I agree with you guys. The way that I would put it is that confidence comes after progression. So as you fail and get better,
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
continued progression leads to success. And then it's kind of like a virtuous cycle. So
Yeah.
I agree with you guys, but that's the way I would put it.
Yeah, that's a succinct way of putting it. I think you articulated that well. So kind of moving beyond just the confidence framework into, what you have experienced as a coach, as a gym owner, as you see kids, as you see young adults, as you see old adults in the program. What do you think they're not getting enough of from like an opportunities perspective? Like, what do you think, like, hey, you know what? And this could be general, it could be specific, but like, what do you think from like, and we'll focus on kids here, because a lot of that is relevant. But what do you think they're not getting enough opportunities?
Um, the best way I can put it is I don't think that people, whether kids or adults, are getting enough opportunity to hold the light. And
Mhm.
and what I mean by that is, again, a lot of these thought processes are in my adult mind, but my dad he was a trucker, a contractor, and worked on big rigs, had multiple big rigs and all those things. But I remember, what it may have been 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock. It felt like midnight to me in those moments. But I remember my dad having me hold the light. Like at night, he's out there working on a tire, changing out the brakes or what have you. And like, I remember thinking like, why am I out here holding this light? Like it literally has a hook on it to hold the light. Like, why does he need me to hold this light? And this is a point not too long ago, like, a couple of years ago, I realized like it was never about holding the light. It was about me being out there, seeing what a man that works hard does
Mm-hmm.
and growing in those moments. It wasn't like he didn't need me to hold the light, but he needed me to see what it takes to be a man and what being a man can sometimes mean. Getting your hands dirty, doing, working late nights, all those things. And so I think that kids needs more opportunity. Kids, adults, all of us need more opportunities to hold that light, do hard things, do things that you don't want to do. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't want to do it, just go do it. Like, if it needs to be done, commit. Like, so I think that a lot of times we can come up short, by not letting those opportunities manifest. Like, what's the saying, like the gym saying, I'm gonna start tomorrow. No,
Yeah.
we're not waiting for tomorrow. We're starting today. We're not waiting till Monday to do it. Let's go ahead and just start now. And so I think that boils down to, just not holding the light enough. Whether it be when they were a kid, kids in general right now, because this is kind of off topic, but similar. Like, I mean, like when I was growing up, like teenage years, I was always looking for opportunity to work and like earn a dollar. Like it didn't matter, like insulation, putting down floors at New Vision. It didn't matter what, like I was looking for that. But like now kids are like, they're not about that life, or very few are.
Yeah.
And so like they hadn't had enough, they hadn't had enough holding the light moments in their lives. You know what I mean? Like, so I just think like, man, like, let your kids hold the light. Like it don't matter. It's about the principle of it all. Like get out there, make them do. Like sometimes I have Apollo do stuff just so he can just because I know that he won't like to do it, just so he can go through that process. Whether it's just my version of holding the light for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need more of those things. Do things that you hate. Do things that you don't like doing.
Yeah.
And how do you communicate some of those things in more of a kid-friendly way? Because a few times you've said that you're looking backwards with an adult mindset, and we're all adults now, and we kind of know what we did that we hated when we were kids that have helped us now, or things we wish we had done a little bit differently. So how do you take that wisdom and then package it up in a way where it actually resonates with the kid?
As in like speaking to a kid, or
speaking to them or helping them understand why you're having them do these things that maybe they don't want to do or that are uncomfortable.
The best way that I can put it, it's somewhat indirect, and in the way that I like. Anytime Apollo, my oldest, my 4-year-old, anytime that whether it's on the mats or whatever it is, like he might be trying, just can't figure out I'm just trying to think of a actual, like, it's not even like a grappling type of thing, but like something where he was struggling to figure out. And I'm like, when he says that he can't, like, I'll tell him, no, you just haven't figured out how to yet. Like, one, positive affirmations. Like, I'm always, like, I don't tear a person. Well, I try not to tear a person down, and like building them up. Like, how do you think we could do this? Again, I ask a lot of questions. Like, what's a way that you think that you could, if you can't lift that, we lift weights and, we train in the house and all those types of things. Like, how can we do this? And let them kind of form their own way of at least trying. And again, that in that moment, that may not be the right way, but I allow that process to happen. Like, I ask a lot of questions to Apollo. How do you think we can move that from there to there? well, you can't pick it up, but I don't know. Like we have this med ball. It's heavy. It's called an Echo ball. Shout out to
Mm-hmm.
Rogue Fitness. So, and it's, I remember a time when he couldn't, like we were working on the garage or something, and he wanted to pick it up, like we were doing ball signs or something, and he couldn't pick it up. Cause he was helping me put everything up or something like that. And like he couldn't pick it up. And I was like, well, if you can't pick it up, is there something else that you could do to get it over there to put it up? Well, and he, in his 4-year-old, ways, it's like, I can roll it. So you can still get it over there. You can still get the job done, but maybe it wasn't exactly how you thought. So that's what I try to do, is ask questions, let them get to their own solution. And sometimes that means me guiding him a little bit to it. Sometimes that means he gets to it on his own, but not forming the answer for him and saying here, or, okay, I'm in a rush. Just let me get it. Like, no, slow down, talk through it, because they need those moments. And it's not always convenient to do those things, but it's the process. And I think that process is necessary.
100%. I think in law school we would call that the Socratic method, where you turn around the question or the experience onto the student and have them provide the details as to how to accomplish it or what they would do in that situation. So no, I think that's really good. And kind of going back to the holding the light, I think that is a really cool way of framing it and allowing kids to have those type of experience. Anyone, but like, in this particular situation, we're talking about kids. Now, holding the light in baseball or tennis or golf or even football is a little bit different than holding the light in MMA. And it could probably, I'm guessing, and this is just me, like as a parent, be a bit difficult for parents to either allow their kid to hold the light, or B, hold the light themselves when they're participating in a sport like MMA. So where do you think parents accidentally get into the way of holding the light, either for themselves or for their kids?
Well, I don't want people to hate me.
Yeah, no. That's a tough one. Maybe that's an unfair question.
I mean, when I was a nurse, I worked at a sports medicine clinic, and, there was countless times where it was pretty obvious that the parent was living through their child in typically baseball, but it was like, they would, and, I'm making this up a little bit, or being a little whatever, but, little Timmy, they would come in, little Timmy's, he's 11 years old. And they would come in like, little Timmy's, his shoulders hurting, doc. And like, I don't know why. You only had 11 games this weekend. And, is there anything that you can do to get him back ready for this coming up weekend? It's like, kid just needs rest. And like, he's 11. He just, he's not, his anatomy is not even meant for those things just yet. And like just seeing moments like that, it just makes me think like, man, maybe we as parents need to step back a little bit. I think parents mess up in like thinking or trying to make their kid the next this or that. I believe that, not everyone's going to be this or that, but what we can do, like we have one rule in our house. You're always going to do something active. We don't personally, obviously we have our hopes for what those things are, but as long as you're moving and being competitive, that's where we draw that's where we stand. Like, you don't have to go out and pitch every weekend and things. And we're just trying to like force our childhoods or our wanted childhoods onto our kids versus letting them be a kid and live their lives, be active, have fun playing baseball, but it's okay if they miss a game or they don't play travel ball or what have you. I'm not saying, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't push our kids, but it's a very distinct way of pushing versus like projecting, I guess, if you will, like projecting what they should be. And most athletes, most Olympians, they don't even have a specialized sport into their teens. So, I mean, that shows you right there. I mean, that's fact. So I just think
You
getting
mentioned,
in.
go ahead. Keep going.
I just think they get in the way of themselves by projecting what they wish their childhood would have been or could have been or all those things versus just letting the kid be a kid. And, I mean, if you start something, you're going to finish it, but we don't have to sign them up for every, AAU game and all these things. Like, it's okay for them to be a kid too.
I think you mentioned that it's important for your kids to be active and competitive. I'm curious why the competitive piece and what it means to you.
And I'm speaking from my upbringing, of course. And I think like a lot of times I say to my wife, like the world, like, again, it's probably hard for my wife to to understand some points that I say. Maybe it's because of the person delivering the points but like there's some, I say to her often or sometimes that like the world is not going to cuddle them and baby them. The world's just going, it's, I think back to that Rocky scene, shout out to Rocky right there. I just think back to like moment, like the world's not going to just let you become what you want to be. And I think having an upbringing or life experiences that promotes challenges and competitiveness is a good training tool for life scenarios. I mean, because I can't speak for a lot of sports, but at least in martial arts, there's a lot of moments that you have to, you're competitive one. Otherwise, I mean, it's pretty obvious when you lose, you're submitted or you tap, you give up. I mean, that's, it's very like, it's not very hard to distinguish who won and who lost, in a grappling match. When you tap out, that means, live to fight another day, maybe. But I think having a competitive spirit goes a long way in the real life scenarios. And I forget the book that I read, but I really, I like the way that she phrased it. Like, I'm not raising a 4-year-old. I'm not raising a boy. I'm raising an adult. And that's my sole purpose is to raise an adult. And I think, to answer your question, is having those moments of competitiveness and all those things translates over into life scenarios in some form or another. Does it translate over directly? Maybe not, but there's small little, what's the word? There's small little,
like takeaways or
all little takeaways, if you will, that your brain's, for instance, this is all like and this is a little bit sidetracked, but like, I just remember like when I was training for this Ironman or Ironman 70.3. And like, I remember my first open water swim. Like at this point, I had taught myself how to swim. I knew that I could swim and I could swim a really good distance. But my first open water swim, the first moment that I felt my feet not be able to touch the bottom or see the bottom, like legit lost it, like was about to drown myself, like in a wetsuit, can literally just calm down and float. But I was panicked, like, and I remember the guy who I was out there with, he was like, bro, like, I'm going to have to knock you out if you don't calm down. And like something about just him saying that to me, it kind of made me grin and like, just relax. Like, what am I doing? And so go fast forward to the second time that I went to open water swim. It's like my mind, like, okay, we've seen this already. Like, we're not going to freak out as much. And like, it was like something about that repetition, being out there, seeing that happen, translated over to that next moment. And then the third time, it was like, it's just water, just like in the pool. And so I say that to say, like, having that competitiveness, even maybe, indirectly, but it translates over into life scenarios to where, all right, if you're in the classroom, this person maybe have gotten a better grade this time, but, let's get it. We're going to go after it. Or this person, caught a pass on me or what have you, or shot on me. But, that's okay. I'm coming back for some more. So I think that's why competitiveness is important in these controlled environments, if you will, for when real life happens.
Yeah, I think that's big. And I think that's the other piece of the equation that we were kind of like missing when we were talking about failure is that failure is beneficial if you learn how to respond appropriately to it. So like if you are not responding well to failure, if you're not like getting faced with adversity and growing out of it, then you're probably not getting as much out of failure as you possibly could, and really being able to learn that, hey, I'm going to take this experience and not only use it for the same or similar experience down the road, but I can also take it and interpolate it and use it in another way when I am faced with difficulties on the job or difficulties in life or whatever it might be. So I think it is something that you can kind of use the competition, which is going to end up resulting in a winner or a loser in most cases. And that is going to lead to failure for some. And so you're going to be able to have to learn how to respond to that type of failure and to grow in a way in which is going to be beneficial for you later on in life. So I think that was the other kind of like part of the equation that makes failure such a beneficial tool when developing, not only as a young person, but also as an older person like myself. So I'm not that old, but old enough. Now, kind of going into the just a little bit touching into like the entrepreneurial stuff and the community building. So you stepped into a gym, you became an MMA fighter, you experienced some success, you decide to coach and train. Then you decide to open a gym. Like, why open a gym instead of just coaching?
Well, so I was coaching initially because I couldn't afford classes. Like I remember like, man, I like these classes, but I don't like these payments.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And so it's, where some people might say, oh, that's it for me. Again, these are one of those moments that like, maybe I didn't realize that I was doing it, but like I figure it out. Like, how can I do these classes, but not pay? And so that's what led me to coaching. Like, just cause I was too broke to be able to pay for memberships. I was like, well, I can teach some kids how to, shrimp or whatever, what have you. And so, and then just with the same spirit, fast forward however many years later, is like, I can make this profitable. Like, I, obviously with my dad and things that I've done over the years, like the entrepreneur spirit, like I can make this profitable and do it, do it differently and do those things. So just, timing and all those things, my longtime friend and coach and, was Johnny Little. He was like, we kind of got kicked out of the gym. And so just came together and started legitimately just started in the park. That's where my gym ownership started, was in a park in Ridgeland, just out there 2 or 3 days a week in the evenings, hoping it didn't rain. And so just kind of the rest is history from there as far as the ownership. I just, over the years, just I've felt so many times that things that we did as far as keeping memberships, getting new memberships, retaining memberships, all those things. Not that I have it figured out now, but I have a little bit better idea about it at least. And it's just the entrepreneur spirit, almost like if you put me in any scenario, I'm probably going to try to figure out how to make it profitable. And that's just in my DNA, if you will. And so if I'm a coach, well, how can I make this profitable? Well, become an owner of a gym. And, not that it's, buying Ferraris or anything, but it's something, it's a hobby and long time, thing that I like doing, that I get to call home and go to and anytime I want and be able to make a little bit of money off of it through the gym. So that's just entrepreneur spirit. It's like, why not make it into something that my vision has, versus, being under someone or whatnot. And just kind of, again, you speak it into the universe. It finds a way to make it happen.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I've seen you do that a ton. Speak something into the universe and then going after it. I would say that that's part of it, and then part of it is just your tenacity, your determination, and just like being able to not accept anything other than the success that you're envisioning. So I think that's huge, and that is something that has been something that I've tried to use in my own life as I've seen it work out for you. So one of the other, last questions about the entrepreneurship piece and the community building piece, I've noticed that at Black Cells MMA, even that's the name of the gym, that even when you were, doing the fighting, that it was a very like tight knit community. And I see a lot of like communities similar to other types of, specialty type gyms like CrossFit gyms. What makes a strong community there? And from your perspective, what makes a strong community with a gym like that?
Pretty much exactly what you said. Like I'm terrible with names, but I do my absolute best to call students by their name, and things like that. I don't want this not being I think there's, I'm not just blind to like it. The gym isn't my number one source of income. So I can have a less business-like focus for the gym. If so I'm not blind to that. If my bills getting paid at the house depending on the gym being profitable, solely on the gym being profitable, I probably would have a different perspective. But be that it may, like one thing that I purpose in our gym is like we are legitimately like family. Like outside of the gym, there's gatherings, there's get-togethers, it's not just I train with this person and then go home. Like I try to make it a family type, fun type atmosphere, and like keep the drama to like if there's drama, like I source that out, like or I nip that in the bud early because like that's not what my gym is about. Like it's about like like if you're having a bad day and you show up at the gym, like that's where your day becomes good. That's what my goal is. And like, kids and things like that, like, I always have to like have a disclaimer, with the parents. And I treat those kids just like they're my son. That can be good or bad, but I treat them as if they're my own because sometimes like I may be the only father figure that this young man gets to see today. For that 45 minutes, I'm the only positive thing that he's seen today. Whether, bad day at school or, no father figure at home. I like it's my responsibility to make sure that he gets what he needs from this class. And, I'm drawn to those type of scenarios, a little bit more just with, not growing up or, with my father passing at 11, but like making those things matter in the gym. Like this kid isn't just a membership to me. Like this kid is for this 45 minutes, he's just like my own. That means I'm going to expect a lot out of him and I'm not going to let him quit on himself. But I think that goes a long way in the culture of a gym is like for the parents to be able like to see that and understand that and see that like, okay, they're not just, it's belting day, pay us $75. No, that's not what we're about. We're about changing, where these kids are and like developing those kids to be better human beings. Learning how to grapple and all those things, those are just byproducts of what we're about. Like, Paulo, I'm surprised he ain't came in here yet, but like, it's just not yes, sir. It's 5 push-ups. It's the same thing, same thing in the classes. Like they get a warning and then it's 5 push-ups. And like the kids know this and, we joke and have fun but there's a certain level of respect that has to be established. And I think parents see that. And I think hopefully my other coaches, see that like, cause I'm a believer that it starts from the top. And so doing all those things molds the culture into a certain way. And it's just a different vibe. Like we may not be the biggest gym in town, but we're going to be the most relatable or, the gym that people come to and enjoy being there. It's not like just another check off for the day.
No, I think that makes for a really robust community. And just kind of like circling back on the sports thing as well, like being able to play any sport, because all the things that we've been talking about today, you can pick and choose whichever sport you're going to have a lot of the same or similar type of like learnings that would come out of it. I think it's huge. But I also think like that community piece is also really big, that being able to kind of socialize and to grow in that way as well. You can have a profound impact on someone beyond just the the field, the arena, the court, or whatever. So no, I think that's really cool. I know we're getting close to the end. So for listeners who kind of breeze through this or listen to this at 2.5x speed and missed some points, if you were going to put a bow on all this and maybe give a 1 minute synopsis, what would that be?
I would say that it's important to let your kids go through adversity, even if it's micro doses, like in a controlled setting, whatever that is. Let them experience adversity. You don't want the first time them experiencing adversity is to be when they go off for college. Don't be a helicopter parent. It's okay. It's okay. We grew up drinking out of water hoses. It's okay. We're going to be okay. Kids are resilient. They bounce back. So as parents, don't just hover around looking at how to save them. Yes, step in when necessary, but it's okay. They're going to figure it out. They might bump their head a little bit. We all do. That's fine. And, I guess the last thing is pay it forward. I know that someone's watching you, whether you realize it or not. I've had, and I'm trying not to go over this minute, but I've had, young men come back and tell me things that they saw that I didn't even knew. It wasn't even a thought in my mind in those moments. And they remember this years later. So I think paying it forward in the way that we interact and all those things just goes a long way in life and all the other avenues.
Life. I think that's a big takeaway. And then something that I'll start using is the holding the light, having that type of willingness to go through or have those experiences or allow those kids to kind of go through that type of experience and grow. I think that's a really cool way of boxing an idea. So I think it's super cool. Anything else before we I guess call it a pod?
Yeah. One question that might be a good thing to end on. You backed our campaign on Kickstarter. So I'm just curious, what was it? Just because you're such a big fan of Brandon, such a big friend of his, or what made you want to be a backer and back kind of to the extent that you did?
If I'm in a position to be able to help, I'm gonna back my bros. If it's something which I believe in the product. There's that I 100% believe in the product. But if any of my friends or what have you, if there's something that I can support them, I'm in a position to do that. I'm gonna do that. I don't even it doesn't even matter what the return is for me. It was no, they're trying to launch something. Paying it forward goes back to that. I'm going to support that. And that's what it's about to me. So anytime I see people like me that are trying to progress themselves or move themselves forward. Yeah, I'm gonna back it. There's a little saying that I have that I said to some of our close friends, I don't want to be the one working more for your dream than you. Don't let me outwork for your goal. That means if someone's putting in the time and work, I'm all about helping and don't. And so it just goes back to that's just what I believe. I believe it's important for us to, hold each other up and if we're in a position, there was many people, probably things I don't even know about, people that helped me and along the way to get to where I am. I didn't do it by myself. There's situations I'm sure that happened so if I can, help out Brandon or this, worldie or my nephews, starting a lawnmower service, whatever. If I can, I will. That's what it boils down to me. But he is also a good friend, so there's that.
And is it Brandon or Brandon?
Yo, wow.
Brandon.
Yeah, that is the name I heard growing up is Brandon. That was
I remember you saying that. Yeah,
he's capital A in my phone.
Yeah. No, I've known James for years, maybe decades, and I learned some new things today that I didn't know about him, and it's always inspirational hearing from him. I never really tell you this in our group chats because I don't need your head to get any bigger or your hair to get any taller. But I definitely look to you and to the rest of our group for motivation to continue to learn and grow, and as iron sharpens iron, to be able to be a
100%.
much sharper individual. So really appreciate you backing us, supporting us, paying it forward, and then also appreciate you jumping on the podcast, shedding some knowledge, dropping some knowledge. I don't know what people are saying these days, but like, we really appreciate it.
Thank you
thanks
guys
for jumping on.
Thank you. I like what y'all are doing. Thank you.